So first of all, thank you so much. I just want to say thank you for staying this late. And this session is about mostly B2B marketers. So raise hands if you're a B2B marketer. Oh, good. So I'm in the right room. Because I've been in rooms where most of the marketers have been B2C marketers, and that's okay too. A little bit about myself and my company. So I've been in marketing for a really, really long time. But more specifically, product marketing has been a very accidental choice for me. I think very few people actually start in product marketing, if you think about it. Mostly people either have done technical marketing, product management, CI, or demand gen, and they come into the product marketing role. And we have to all learn and do things differently. So I'm really, really happy that we now have this organization, PMA, who's actually helping us grow. But this session is actually about the mistakes we have made, or personally I've made, and I want to help you guys to avoid those mistakes. And this is about if you are in a business of transitioning your perpetual business to a subscription business, you might be in that journey, because it is a journey. Steps we took and eventually learned how to avoid some of those mistakes. So as I said, we made lots of mistakes, and I'm going to only talk about the top 10, right? And so here's how it actually happens. Your company or your CFO, your CEO might decide, subscription is a really, really good business model. Let's move there. Right? That's all they are really thinking. They're not really thinking about what's in for the customer. They're thinking, we make X amount of dollars, and it's perpetual software usually, and then the customer pays usually some maintenance dollars on top of that. And they said, let's start to convert every and all customers. But as a product marketer, that was the number one mistakes we did. We didn't really focus on segmentation. And what do I mean by segmentation? It's like trying to convert each and every customer from a perpetual to subscription day one and having the same marketing message is a big, big mistake. Imagine you are a customer. You don't really care about subscription as much, but you care about the value. And if the software you're delivering is identical, then there is no value on subscription. So as you move your offerings from perpetual to a subscription model, I think the first thing we can all do and learn is really think about maybe we should start about messaging differently for new customers versus existing customers, right? So maybe you have a new offering on subscription side of the business, and you start there. Try and get every new customer on a subscription, start there, right? Have an awesome offers for those guys. Maybe early adopters get better offer on subscriptions and so on. And so focusing on just new versus existing might help you learn a lot of things on improving your packaging and pricing on the subscription softwares. But that's not it. You can focus on segments like SMB versus enterprise. You may figure it out that subscription is a great deal right now for an enterprise customer because they're really thinking around CapEx versus OpEx models. And the more you learn from the early wins, the more you will understand on how to segment your customers. So we learned, it wasn't really actually different between SMB and enterprise customer. What was different for us was on the verticals versus horizontals. Surprisingly, when you look back from your early wins, you will realize that there is a segment of customers, maybe healthcare, maybe it's manufacturing, maybe it's finance customers, who might be buying this way more, or it's easier to convert them to a subscription versus trying to convert, let's say, a customer in retail or a customer in education and so on. You might find that a customer who might have a regulatory or compliance requirements, right, might not really move to your subscription model faster. But a customer who has a completely different characteristic may move faster to the subscription models. The next one I would encourage to look at as you're doing the segmentation is to look at the customer characteristics themselves. And this is really, really interesting because these are the things not taught in the business school, right? So we are taught the traditional ways of doing segmentations. And finally, what we realized is, again, you need a data scientist to do some of these things and looking at the data. But what we realized is customers who had more SaaS apps, or customers who was already moving to the cloud, they were completely open on moving from your perpetual models to subscription models, much, much faster. So it didn't have to do anything with who the customer is, whether they were in finance, government. But you'll see the trends eventually. But go for the customer characteristics. That was the key for us, actually. In the end, we are way faster transitioning right now from perpetual to the subscription model. When we look at and target customers, like there is no way you can target customers in your marketing messages who haven't even moved their apps to the cloud. They're not really interested. They're still liking their perpetual model right now. So it's really, really hard for them. All right. Number 2 is messaging and positioning, right? So everyone that's in this room is a master of messaging and positioning. There were some few mistakes we did. And I want to just make sure you understand you have to change your messaging and positioning when you move from perpetual to subscription models. So let's talk about that. I think the number one mistake we did on the messaging side was talking about the pricing differences from perpetual to subscriptions. And the salespeople will focus a lot on those things. When you go and move those perpetual to subscription models, sales team's really looking to go in to an existing customer and saying, hey, Mr. Customer, you pay X dollars of maintenance. Let me tell you how much it is to convert you to a subscription model, or if it's a brand new license in your case. And they're not really talking about value, right? So the most important thing as a marketing person is you have to enable your internal sales team on talking about value, not the price points, and also to the customer on why move to the subscription. What's in for them? That's it. The customer doesn't care about anything else. It's the value. Why would I move? What's in for me? And that was a big thing. The next things is you can continue to focus on why buy messaging. It's like why move to subscription models. That's all good. That's all we do. The second most important thing we did, which actually exponentially increased our chances of subscription models, was we started adding a new kind of messaging, which was why stay? As you move from perpetual to subscription models, we had to build this muscle and build a new kind of enablement. Traditionally, you would always have your demand gen team just build why buy messaging. We completely forget about why stay. And this is the key on growing your subscription models. Because once a customer has moved to your subscription model, they're adding new licenses all the time. And you want to make sure after a year or 3 years of subscription ending, they stay with you. That's the key. And why stay messaging is very different than why buy messaging. It's based on how helpful, what did we do for you in the last 2 or 3 years? It's working with your customer success team. You have to enable your customer success managers, your renewal teams, because at the renewal is a completely brand new sale, right? And so what we had to do is build an adoption marketing team. And this is to me, this is the future of product marketing, quite frankly. Adoption marketing is a team which does a lot of in-product and out-product marketing. So what does that mean? A lot of times we struggle. I think about most of the time our demand gen teams are like pre-Google days. We have a big loudspeaker and we are just shouting at top of our lungs, hoping someone will read our blogs. And we are hoping someone will read our tweet. But there are tools out there in the industry where adoption marketing teams, or you can call them customer marketing teams, can use. And they're going to your existing customers in the product itself. In your online tools itself, they're embedded and they are behavioral based. So you can even target customers. If you do X, you can also do Y. It's great for upsell and cross-sell. the out product marketing teams can enable your customers on how to use the product better and faster to adopt. So we actually prepare posters for our admins so they can print it out. And in the old days, you can actually put in your lunch break rooms so you know how our end users can use it. But we have email templates for admins to get them started for their end users. So they don't have to do anything. They can just drag and drop their logos, change a few of the wordings. We're simplifying everything for the admin on the adoption side of the things. So that's super critical. Now, let's talk about packaging. Who does packaging in this room? This has been my life for like last few years, actually. And it's a no-win situation, actually. There is no 1, 2, and 3. In the end, you will make some people unhappy. That's the fact. You will make some people unhappy. But this is really important when you convert from perpetual to subscription. And we made blunders here. So let's talk about those things. First, it's all about the acronym WIT-FTC. You guys know that, right? What's in it for the customer? So it's WIT-FTC. And our packages, we thought the perpetual packages, if we design them identical as our subscription packages, we always design things on making our sales teams happy or our finance teams happy. Trying to get that extra 10% margin so we can get more money. But I'm telling you, you have the power to go back to them and stand firm and ask those guys, the product manager especially, what's in for the customer? Why would they do it? Right? And the packaging, just say no. Because if you get rolled over by those decisions, it's going to be so hard for you to recover. So don't do that. And then focus on the pricing metrics on the packaging side. On the perpetual side of the world, you probably did, maybe you sold a fixed cost thing and you did pricing based on users or something else. That may not be true in the subscription world. You can decide a completely different pricing metric in the subscription world. And so that changes the mindset. And that makes the conversion sometimes really, really easy for the customer to think about. They're like, I get it. I can only pay as you go model. So I had 100 licenses I bought, and they were perpetual, and I was paying maintenance on all the 100 licenses. And if I move to the subscription, and I can look back and only pay for 80, it's like, yeah, sure, you can. So do the right thing for the customer. Next up is, avoid this at all costs. Don't do a like-to-like packaging, because the customers will always compare. I had a package A, and you're moving me to package A again, and all I'm doing is just paying you on a subscription basis. It's more than my maintenance. And they'll compare all those feature lists. They'll compare every single thing. So don't do that. In fact, whenever you're designing these transition paths, give them more. And for some customers, they might want less. That's okay too, because it's a consumption world. It's the adoption is the main metric here, right? That's okay. You'll keep them longer. Their customer lifetime value will be much, much higher. Trust me. Happy customers equals more money at the end of the day. That's it. Rethink branding. Don't name your subscription packages same as your on-prem products. We just actually redid our branding yesterday, or day before yesterday, and because the customers would say, well, package A, or let's say you have a name of your package, and you name the identical name in the subscription models. Again, there is a huge comparison. And it's actually really, really bad for marketing, because you have to explain to your salespeople, to your customers, oh, no, this is the perpetual model for your on-prem stuff, or this is the subscription for your cloud world, and things like that. So your subscription packaging, if it is a different brand, it actually really, really helps out. And then in the subscription model, whenever you're doing this packaging, think about the add-on structure. And this actually really, really helps out. And here's why. A, you can get them onboarded faster for these add-ons for the lower end packages. So the classic mistakes, and we all do that in packaging, is You know our crown jewel features, or the most important features, we usually keep in the most premium packages. Like, oh, you got to buy that. You won't get that feature or that really, really important thing in the lower end package. Huge mistakes in that subscription model. Offer that as an add-on. And if you can think about 3 of those add-ons, here's what's going to happen. The customer is going to do the math and say, well, if I have 3 add-ons, I might just move to the premium model automatically. And here's why it's also important. Your sales team is going to be amazing in telling about that features, about that amazing hero feature, and we'll try and sell that premium package to the customer. But the customer will probably come at the end of the renewal and say, give me a discount, because this is too expensive. I'm only using 3 of the most important features. So it's really, really important. So add-on strategy really helps out on subscription models. Pricing. Who does pricing? Wow, that's a lot of people. It's fun, right? It's fun to do pricing? No, it's not. It's not. Again, a no-win situation. No one's happy in the end. And in my opinion, product marketing and product management owns pricing. So if you have salespeople and finance teams owning pricing, it's a huge mistake. Huge mistake. Because again, they're optimizing things for different reasons, not for the customer. And so lessons learned, right? So in pricing. So first of all, perpetual world, sales teams, enterprise B2B, right? And they would hide the pricing. There is nothing you can find on the website. You have to call the salesperson or your channel partner to know what the pricing is. In the subscription-SAAS models, put it on the web page. I had to fight a lot to get this done. That was a huge mindset. For years, they were like, nope, we're not putting pricing on our web pages. They have to call the salespeople. That's a good lead, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is BS. Pricing transparency really, really helps out. Put it out. This forces your competitors to put out their pricing too, by the way. If you have it listed, we have a calculator. We have a tiered pricing on the SaaS basis. Put it out there. It's OK. And if you're not good, guess what? You will become better at it, because if you don't have either good value, or you're not articulating, or you might be priced too high. So put pricing transparency on your web pages. Design a transition pricing, super important. So we didn't design it correctly, which means this is for your existing customers, by the way. You have to have a maintenance plus cost, or that delta, to move them to subscription. Don't let anyone tell you to convert just that maintenance as your is your transition pricing going to subscription. That's a huge mistake. Again, the reason is your CFO will be angry with you, will be really mad at you actually, because they didn't really gain anything. Salespeople have no incentives there to do these transitions then, right? So always have that delta. And that delta is based on the new packaging, which you just did on the previous slides, right? So understand all those things are correlated at the end of the day. It's complicated. Again, we made tons of mistakes. Now, here's a tricky thing. Look, whenever you're doing a subscription pricing, your existing customers can have an amazing offer to move to these things. They have transition pricing and all those things. Your new customers, because you're targeting a new segment with these things, you can have a completely different pricing models for them as they are getting onboarded, different discounting structures. Again, those structures can be internal with your channel teams and your sales teams, and they can think through it, actually. They're extremely, extremely smart people when it comes to identifying, oh, I'm selling this new value to a new customer, right? And the way you do it with your existing customers, and Netflix did it amazing, amazing way. When Netflix raised prices, what did they do? They said, well, their email said really simple things. We're raising prices, but since you are such a loyal customer, we'll do it in 6 months for you. In 6 months pricing. For every new customer, it goes up today. So you feel good. Hey, they gave me a break for next 6 months, but eventually they are raising prices. So that's how you can do it too. Let's talk about telemetry and usage. And I'm going to go a little bit fast because I know it's almost 5 o'clock and we might be, you would rather have a drink right now. But this is important actually. In the perpetual world on telemetry and usage stuff, I never paid attention to all those things because once we sold, we were done. And again, we were just focused on why buy messaging, not on like how the customer is really, really using our product. And so in the subscription SaaS models, oh man, this is where your adoption marketing team, your customer marketing teams, your customer success teams can really, really help you understand the usage. Because once you understand what the customer is really using, you might be thinking, this is the value they really get out of my product. And then the product managers really pitch to you things, but the customer might be using completely different things. Now you know. You have data to do, again, a really, really good product marketing. And you can do a really good cross-sell, upsell. Understand your bundled products. So here's what that means. So you have a product A, if you have a multi-product company, product B and product C, and you offer a bundled product at a subscription offering, and the customer is only using product A, at renewal, what's going to happen? They want either a discount or a downgrade, right? Both are really bad. So during your subscription, ensure you have at least some usage on your product B and product C, or you did product packaging incorrectly, right? So we just unbundled everything, actually. So this is how you can actually start doing things. Or you can make your custom bundles. You can pick and say, I want to have package A, package B, and bundle it together. And there is a subscription discount, which is like 20% or 10% discount if you do bundled services. Partner with the customer success team. I think I can't stress that enough. Think of them as your friends, as like just your sales team is. This is where in the subscription SaaS models, your customer success managers can really tell you what's really going on. They can give you really, really good competitive insights. They can give you usage insights, even messaging, testing, all those things. Partner with them to understand the usage, what's really going on, and be a better product marketer. Trials and test drives is another favorite of mine when you move from perpetual to subscription models. In the perpetual world, most often or not, if you have moved to the cloud model, in the perpetual model, like in a complex B2B software, so you have to install your product, do all those things. It's hard, and you usually have consultants come in and do things. And if you have successfully transitioned your product to a cloud-based product on the subscription SaaS models, do the trials. This is the best thing you will be able to do for your things. Yes, there is a cost. Yes, someone has to pay for it. Usually comes from two departments. It's either engineering or marketing. So I was able to convince my marketing department, so think of them as leads cost, right? Someone has to pay for it. So you can either have engineering pay for it in terms of COGS, or you can just pay for it in terms of marketing. That's fine. And build test drives in a sense where you can just have, even for your existing customers. Let them try it out before they move to the subscription. So this will be the big change, working with your demand gen teams. When you open up test drives, when you open up trials, and you start doing this 10 user, 25 user, quick things, it's the product-led growth. You'll immediately switch your mindsets, from the lead funnel and all those things, and we used to track everything completely into the whole flywheel models. And I'm sure you guys know about the flywheel models around. How do you grow from 20 users to 50 to 500? And it's going to be really, really quick transition. So think about those things. It's a huge change when you are a perpetual product marketer and you switch to subscription. And this is, again, I've been talking about this pre-sales and post-sales. They're so important both sides. Historically, we as product marketers have only focused on pre-sale. We go all the way from our awareness, consideration, decision models. We have beautiful white papers, content for each of those stages. Guess what? You need exactly the same kind of content post-sales. You don't have that, you have it incomplete. You don't have it right. You build it out all the way on cross-sell, upsell, all the way. Build an advocacy program. Those things will really, really help you. Let's talk about launches and events. And this is, again, my favorite topic because I used to love that one big bang launch we used to do, right? Like once a year, the CEO would stand on the stage. Here's the new product, 11.0. And the engineering team's been working the whole year to do that big launch. Well, it's all gone, right? It's all gone. So lessons learned, right? Here's interesting things I'll tell you. The PM teams and the engineering teams is on this fancy Scrum cycles or SAFe or whatever they call it these days, and like it changes every few times. Agile cycles, Scrum cycles. They're like, hey, we have these dot releases coming out very, very quickly. Do X, Y, and Z. Hey, you got to release this product. You got to do a blog. You got to do a tweet. You got to do a whole campaign around this thing. Just say no. No, it doesn't matter. Does it matter to your customers? Here's what the new model is. You, as a product marketer, is in charge of launch. They can keep releasing things, and that's fine. And the customer might even light up some of these use cases in subscription model, and that's fine too. A launch only happens when you are ready and when you think there's enough value to make enough noise. So for us, it's every quarter. So we'll package up everything together, and we'll say, well, there might have been 3 releases in that quarter. That's fine. And we'll package all those things together, and we'll say, here's an update for the quarter. You can do a quarterly update webinar. Here's a big launch. Get all the social teams aligned, your sales teams aligned, and it's much more predictable. You can do the enablement cycles and everything done. But then track them. And this is the next model in the new launch model, right? It's about how you do an announcement and how you do an enablement. It's continuous. One of the biggest mistakes I used to make early on is, do the enablement training one time and thought my job was done. It's like, no. You have to tell them at least 10 times, maybe 20, right? And maybe that will stick. But you have to take them for happy hours, everything. And then the sales team clicks, makes sense. Okay, finally. So launches and events are very, very different, right? I think here's actually another cool thing about launch and events, actually, I learned in the subscription SaaS model. It doesn't have to be your event at all. And that was a big aha moment shift, which was, in our case, we work with hyperscalers a lot. We just plan it with them. So even though we've been doing a lot of things, there's a huge difference. A launch really happens when marketing makes a big noise around it, right? And when we enable sales to really, really go sell it, and so it can be around your biggest launch partner, like your alliance partner and so on. So think about those things. It actually really shifts the mindset. And then the biggest mindset shifts comes actually from changing your routes to market. Now, in your traditional ways, when you might be selling your perpetual software, you might be just doing your resellers, your channel partners, maybe the SMB teams. There are so many different ways to resell your product, and this is a model internally at Citrix too, where we think about 8 things. It actually goes all the way from your communities, your ecosystem, your direct sales teams, your channel, your marketplaces, the OEM model, outsourcing alliances. So anytime you're launching a new product, you got to ask, which model am I going to pick? You can pick all of them, or you can pick few of them. And this is going to actually reduce your channel conflicts, because your perpetual model might be getting sold only through your direct sales teams, and your subscription offers can come through marketplaces. Make sense? And this is a huge change, because we would always think, I'm going to sell the same thing to the same customer. Or am I going through the same route to the market model? And picking a different route to market will really, really help you, other than the perpetual softwares. A huge change. So think about it. So the 3 main ones on the marketplaces these days, the resellers used to be your Ingram Micro, or you can pick another ones like large B2B sellers. But these days, you gotta sell through the 3 big places, which is Azure, AWS, and Google. If you're in the B2B space and you don't have your software, your service listed in these 3 marketplaces, you're missing out. You know why? They have a really, really awesome model, which is called the gift card model, I call it, in my mind. They don't sell gift cards. Yes, they do. So what they do is the customer signs up a multi-year model where you pay for like a $5 million 3-year contract, and it's a buffet. Like the more you use, the less you pay at the end of the day. And if you don't use it, it's use it or lose it money. So when you have your product listed on one of these marketplaces, what you're really doing is telling the customer, oh, you don't have to find a new budget. You can just use your existing budgets to buy my service from these marketplaces. That's an awesome model, by the way. So think about those models. All right, metrics. Man, the North Star. This is, again, a change in mindset as I grew in my career around tracking them, thinking about them, and what do I really, really care about? And I was really, really fortunate to sit in a lot of C-suite meetings and a couple of board meetings to really think around what do they really care about? And at the end of the day, there are only 3 ways you make money. That's all they care about. There are only 3 metrics around that. And so I'm going to give you that secret. So that's it. These are the 3 things. It's ARR, ARPU, and NRR. Nothing else matters, actually, to the C-suite. Because you can either get a new customer, a new user, which is the ARR, which is through an existing customer, or a new customer, a new user, right? It's ARR. Or ARPU, which is average revenue per user, so you can get more money from the same user. Right? That's the second way of making money. So you sell them more, or sell them other products. And then the third way to make money is NRR. And like people are like, okay, so what does NRR stand for? It's the net retention rate. And there are companies like Zoom who have cracked it awesomely. Slack's cracked it, actually, a lot of those people. And that's essentially for the same customer. It's not even a flat ARR. Their retention, NRR, is even if you lose some users at the same customer, that's fine. They've been able to generate more revenue from the same customer, either selling them a higher tier service or adding more users. So the net retention rate is positive. And if you have a net retention rate over 100, you're making money. Or if you're losing that's the leaky bucket. You got to really watch out because it's exponential. There's a huge difference between a 5% churn rate and a 10% churn rate. And when you do the math tonight after the beers or cocktails, you'll actually figure it out. It's not just twice. That difference becomes 5x because it's exponential. So huge, huge difference. And if you want to get fancy, you can look at some other metrics I look at. The classic ones around customer acquisition costs, your lifetime value, your adoption rates. And the big one I look at these days is also around new business versus the transition business. How much money am I really making from new customers versus the transition customers? Finally, the sales and partners. Wow. This was a mistake when we started because we didn't pay attention to these guys in the subscription model. At least product marketing didn't pay attention to it. And when you're moving from perpetual to subscription, we are really, really just thinking about the customers, and then we forget about these guys because it's a huge change for them. And they were really happy selling perpetual model and making a lot of more money, one-time sale, right? So the sales motivation completely changes. And if you don't enable them why subscription is good for them, they won't sell it. You can have an awesome strategy, awesome packaging, awesome pricing. When the sales doesn't talk about it or your channel doesn't talk about it, it doesn't work out. It's not going to work out. You won't see any transition business. You have to create incentives for your transition business. You have to completely change their compensation models. Completely change it. You have to completely change the way you enable sales teams in the subscription model. And that's the big difference. That's the big difference. If you don't compensate 1.2x to 1.25x for the longer duration, you will only see 1 year sales. So this is, again, a big mistake. This is a secret. You have to incentivize your sales teams higher for each year of subscription. So a 3-year subscription should roughly equal your perpetual license. Yeah, that's the industry standard, like 2.5 to 3x. And once you start doing that, the sales guy's like, I get it. It's the same thing. I'm going to get actually, if I sign up for a 3-year subscription, I'm making the same amount of money. Now, eventually, you'll have to figure out how to pay them based on adoption. And that's where you have to work with your customer success teams. The higher adoption rates equals more payments to you, Mr. Customer. The company who has really, really cracked this is Microsoft. The sales guys only get paid or get way paid more on adoption. Even their engineering team gets paid on adoption. That's insane. They have really cracked it. So pay attention to these things. And then finally, our partners, right? They used to love perpetual. You know why? They had all that consulting fee embedded. They hate subscription cloud models. What's in for them now? I mean, they used to sell software and make $1, but they used to make $3 on consulting. So now they're like, don't care. But if you figure out a way to scale partners and figure out partner tools and incentives enough in the subscription model, it's going to take off. It's going to take off because you figured out them to make not just 3x on consulting, but 5x, because they can actually scale and get more customers. And then B, you have tools for them to analyze how to grow a customer business. So they're going to eventually figure out, and this is up to you. You'll have to figure out the partner models. So I know I went through really, really fast. And but I've been happy to stay and chat through during drinks, because I can talk about the next 10 problems or mistakes I did. But anyway, it's all good. It's all good. At least we learned something, and it's all fun. So have fun. And this is a really, really fun thing, like what product marketing does. And this is what makes all of us get up every day and have some fun. So thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you, Vishal.
Oh, there.